In this video, we'll be taking a look at two college football games happening on December 17, 2025, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games, so 4 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these two college football games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start, if you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Old Dominion versus South Florida. Bowl games usually come down less to raw talent and more to who actually wants to be there. That is where this matchup gets interesting. South Florida rolled into November with people whispering about the college football playoff. Then the buzz vanished almost overnight. Their head coach, Alex Golesh, left for Auburn, and now the Bulls land in an early bowl against an opponent most folks would have expected them to beat comfortably a few weeks ago. That is exactly the kind of setup that turns into a trap spot. Old Dominion is staring at the same game through a completely different lens. For the Monarchs, this is not a consolation stop on the schedule. It is a shot at a genuine program milestone. A win would likely give them only their second 10-win season since moving up to Division I and their first in almost a decade, which would sit pretty high on any school's highlight reel. Taking down a team that brushed up against the top 10 would stamp real validation on everything they have done this year. South Florida, on the other hand, carries a betting profile that looks shiny but can be dangerous. They have been one of the more profitable teams in the country, and that kind of track record tends to boost their reputation in the market. People still treat them like a safe favorite, but context matters. Coaching change, postseason disappointment, and uncertain motivation are all classic warning signs in bowl season, and we see those stacking up on the Bulls' sideline. When one group is trying to finish a story and the other is still trying to remember why it is there, the edge and urgency usually decides things. Both starting quarterbacks will sit this one out, which adds another layer. Old Dominion turns to Hennicle, who has at least taken real snaps, while South Florida hands the offense to Gaston Moore, a walk-on who has not carried that same level of game experience. That is not a guarantee of anything, of course, but it does tilt comfort and familiarity slightly toward the Monarchs. Add in the emotional push of trying to finally get a bowl win for Ricky Rain, who has not yet done that in 6 seasons at Old Dominion, and it feels like their locker room has a clearer purpose. Honestly, the motivation chips seem stacked on their side of the table. As our first pick for this matchup, the Old Dominion Monarchs to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. South Florida's offense has been explosive all year, putting up an average of 43 points per game, which ranks second in the nation. Defensively, they allow 23.3 points per game, good for 56th. Yardage-wise, the Bulls average 501.7 total yards per outing, with 276.3 through the air and 225.4 on the ground, while surrendering 386.8 yards per game, split into 134.4 rushing and 252.4 passing. Old Dominion's profile is more balanced but still plenty dangerous. They score 32.7 points per game, which slots them 29th nationally, and they allow only 19.2 points per game, a strong mark at 21st. Their offense averages 460.8 total yards per game, with 223.8 passing and 236.9 rushing, while their defense gives up just 331.4 yards per game, with 147.4 on the ground and 184 through the air. So both teams can move the ball, but both also field defenses that are not just speed bumps. Now layer the absences on top of those stats. With both starting quarterbacks unavailable and South Florida operating without its head coach, it is reasonable to expect a drop in offensive efficiency and fewer explosive, cleanly executed plays on each side. Old Dominion is rolling with a mobile redshirt freshman who has not yet proven himself as a consistent passer, which nudges them toward a slower, run-heavy script that shortens the game and keeps the clock moving. On the other side, South Florida will likely keep its usual pace, but without Brown running the show, it is hard to see them reaching the same elite offensive ceiling. There is also the recent trend to keep in mind. The two teams are a combined 7-0 to the under across their last 7 games, and their defenses are giving up only 42.5 points per game together this season. That is not everything, of course, but it does match the broader picture of a game where points do not come cheap. With question marks at quarterback on both sidelines, less continuity in the passing games, and two defenses that finished the year on solid footing, this sets up as more of a grind than a track meet. A lower scoring bowl feels more likely than a shootout. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. Louisiana versus Delaware. This is Delaware's first bowl game as an football bowl subdivision program, and the instinctive reaction from a lot of people is to fade the Blue Hens. Louisiana is the familiar brand here, the team that seems to pop up every December, while Delaware feels like the new kid who sneaked into the party. That knee-jerk perception is exactly where the value on Delaware lurks. If you strip away the logos and the history, this matchup looks much closer to a coin flip than the price suggests. If Louisiana did not carry the reputation of being a bowl regular and Delaware did not have the first-time label attached, it would be tough to argue that the Blue Hens should be catching plus money. The opening line was more honest about that reality, with the Cajuns favored by less than a field goal, which is basically the market's quiet way of saying Delaware is very live. Honestly, that early number tells you plenty. This is not some massive talent gap. Delaware has already shown it can hang at this level, competing right away in its first football bowl subdivision season and earning a bowl spot on performance, not pity. The motivational edge leans their way too. For the Blue Hens, this is a historic shot, a chance to stamp their debut season with a statement win that people on campus will talk about for years. When a game shapes up like a true 50-50, the simplest approach is usually the right one. You grab the side offering the plus price. Now, zooming out a bit, the recent form numbers support the idea that this spread sits in a tight range rather than pointing to a runaway. Both teams share the same overall record. Louisiana is trending a bit better coming in, with 4 straight wins and a 3-1 mark against the spread over that stretch. Delaware, by contrast, has gone 1-2 in its last 3 and just 2-6 against the spread in its last 8. That looks ugly on the surface, but it also helps keep their price from getting too expensive. So, if you are choosing a side in what still feels like a toss-up, you would rather be holding Delaware with plus money than laying anything with Louisiana. From there, it makes sense to separate the scoreboard question from the side and talk about how this game might actually play out in terms of points. Offensively, Delaware puts up 29.8 points per game, which slots them 50th nationally, while their defense gives up 32.5 points per game, a shaky mark at 120th. They average 418.1 total yards per game, with 302.2 of that through the air and 115.9 on the ground, and they allow 411.2 yards per outing, split into 164.3 rushing and 246.8 passing. That is the profile of a team that leans heavily on its offense and lives with a lot of stress on the back end. Louisiana brings its own imperfect but workable balance. The Cajuns score 27.1 points per game, 74th in the nation, and allow 30 points per game on defense, which ranks 105th. They generate 346 total yards per game, with 156.2 passing and 189.8 rushing, and surrender 417.2 yards per game, with 189.1 on the ground and 228.1 through the air. Neither defense is locking the door, and both offenses have clear ways to move the ball, even if they get there in slightly different ways. The totals trends only reinforce that picture. Between them, these teams are a perfect 7-0 to the over in their last 7 games combined, and they allow 62.5 points per game together this season, which already sits just above the posted number for this matchup. That is not some minor detail. It tells you that, when these defenses show up, they tend to bring fireworks with them. Delaware, especially, evolved into a score and shrug kind of team as the season wore on, tilting toward all offense and very little resistance. You can expect the Blue Hens to find their points again, because that is who they have been. At the same time, Louisiana is more than capable of doing its part on the scoreboard, particularly against a defense that has been generous all year. So while the side feels like a true coin toss, the flow here points toward a game with long drives turning into touchdowns rather than field goals, and enough explosive plays to keep the scoreboard operator busy. A track meet is more likely than a slog, and that leans toward this total clearing the number. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed, subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.